We are here, but we are late. But we are fashionably late because, man, we're looking good. Look at this.
That's right. Can you actually hear me?
I hear you, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We are live, ladies and gentlemen. This is Couz along with the Outlaw of College Football. Happy to bring you tonight this live stream here on Couz's Corner. We've already got people in the house. I apologize. I was having technical difficulties with my microphone, so I just had to disconnect the stupid thing. And I'm coming to you straight without a mic, so hopefully you can hear me okay.
I can hear you.
I want to, first off, before I even get started, I've already got a new channel member. Got to give a shout out to Mr. Heath Stokes.
That's right, baby. The Oklahoma invasion is upon you, baby.
I would like to welcome you to the VIP club here at Couz's Corner, man. Thank you for joining. So, yeah, got a lot of people in the house tonight. Stephen G, a perfect cracker. A Briles thing for OU was over yesterday. Well, you know what? I wasn't able to talk about it yesterday, a perfect cracker. So, because I am a busy guy, I have a full-time job and a family. So,
you actually have a life? You actually have a life outside of this?
I do, believe it or not. So I'm going to talk.
Where's your priorities at, man? Golly, man. You're supposed to put this before everything, man.
And I'm not trying to be a jerk, by the way, perfect cracker. I'm just being sarcastic. But no, I'm just kind of in one of those moods tonight. But
yeah, me too.
But I've been wanting. I actually wanted to do a video about it before already, and I just hadn't had a chance to yet. And then I know Outlaw is he likes to talk Oklahoma, and I knew he had already done a video on it, so I wanted us to get on here together and do it. Here we are.
Bring it, man. They bring it hard and strong. You know that.
I do. Very passionate fan base, much like West Virginia, just bigger.
Yeah,
that's the way I like to describe it.
West Virginia does have a passionate fan base, for damn sure. Wish they could get into one of the bigger conferences like the SEC or the Big Ten. But
me too, man. Me too.
Of course, the Big 12's coming on up, so I shouldn't say that. I think the Big 12's making themselves known as at least the third best conference in America, in my opinion.
Well, they are right now from a stability perspective, definitely. And I think from a competitive standpoint, I mean, they're not doing first couple weeks of the season. They've not done great out of conference, but I mean, when you look at there's parity in the league. There's not one team that's going to dominate everybody else. I think that can be a little bit attractive to a degree, unless of course it's your team that dominates, and then maybe not. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get into it. For those of you, most of you already know this, especially you Oklahoma people. Art Briles showed up at an Oklahoma game the other day. His son-in-law, Jeff Lebby, is the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. After the game, Art Briles was spotted on the field in Oklahoma gear talking to Jeff Lebby. Some fans didn't like it. There were statements made by Coach Brent Venables. They kind of took him off guard in his post-game press conference about it. Joe Castiglione, the AD, come out and basically said something was being done about it. And, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. Since then, Lebby has come out and given an apology. So, Outlaw, go ahead and give us your thoughts on it, man, and then I'll give you mine.
Well, like I told you earlier off there, man, I'm sort of torn on it. I can see both sides of the story, just like I said in my podcast the other day. My main thing with it, the reason I don't have an issue with Art Briles being at any game. If you buy a ticket to a game, you'll obviously be able to go to a game, right? He wasn't really convicted of any of those crimes. I mean, there was a lot of shadiness going on, in my opinion, with Art in the Baylor situation. But the main thing that a lot of people have an issue with was it's been said and alluded to that maybe Joe Castiglione and Lebby had an agreement that Art wouldn't be around the Oklahoma program, as long as Lebby was employed there at the University of Oklahoma. So that's the main thing, I think, right there. And I also have an issue with people that come in here to defend him. Some of the Oklahoma fans on the other side defend him by saying that, well, them girls probably made most of that stuff up, man. I'm not down with that because I really believe that 70 to 80% of those girls are usually telling the truth. Sure, there's going to be some out there making it up. That's going to happen. But, yeah, it's just It really bothers me when people, say that, because most of those girls, that take a payout and people call them gold diggers, the reason why they take those payouts usually is because they don't want their name drugged through the mud and they don't want to be character assassinated in a public forum. What if your daughter? What if it happened to your daughter or your sister or your mother? Couz?
Exactly.
Would you rather just go ahead and take a payout and not have to worry about them being put through the whole ordeal again, or what?
No, I wouldn't want them to put through it again. I mean, they already had to live through it once, and it's something they have to deal with already the rest of their life, right? So why would you want to continue to poke holes in, add salt to the wound, I guess, for lack of a better term? As a girl dad, and I know you have a daughter too.
That's right.
I definitely wouldn't want it to happen. If that's the case, if they did have an agreement, sure to goodness, and obviously none of us were in the room, but sure to goodness, Jeff Lebby was misunderstood, or maybe there was some gray area where they weren't specific about what he was allowed to do and what he wasn't. That's a little. That's what's strange to me about this. Why would he purposely go out of his way to bend the rules?
Now, somebody told me that Art, of course, he had a ticket to the game, but he came out on the field on his own admission that actually, he wasn't too happy about it at first. It sort of caught even Jeff Lebby off guard. But the main thing on that with me is, if that was the case, then why take a picture with him and then post it on your Instagram and double down, and as you alluded to, sort of flip the middle finger,
Right. Yeah, I agree. That's what caught me too. I saw that afterwards. I went several hours later, maybe. I went in and I saw that picture on Instagram, or that Instagram photo floating around social media, and I'm like, why did he just do that? I mean, that doesn't to me. That's the only way I could take that, is to be a middle finger,
It's like
to say, hey, this is my family. I'm gonna be with my family.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's a double-edged sword, man, because you can sort of feel for him. It's his father-in-law. Of course he wants him to be there. His father-in-law probably was his mentor at some point as well. So you got to feel for both sides of the situation, man. It's just a real tricky situation.
Agreed. Yeah, I have no issue. I have no issue with Art being there per se, because it's his family. He has a right to be there. He's an American citizen. He's not in prison. He has a right to be at that game. He has a right to wear an OU shirt. He has a right to do all that. And he has a right to be on the field with all the other families, if there was not that agreement. Now, if they had an agreement and if it was part of the hiring process and they said, hey, this can't be happening, he cannot be around the program, then yes, he should not have been there.
Well, it's just like you told me. He's like, hey, do you know for certain if there was an agreement? No, I don't. I'm just going on what I've heard from hearsay, just like the rest of us,
Yeah.
It's just like the people that report this, the media talking heads, they're just going on what people have told them.
Yeah. Shout out to Marty Keene for the $2 super chat, man. If you want to, I didn't see a comment with it, Marty. If you want to throw a comment in there, either way, man, if you would just give me a donation, I appreciate that too, man.
Marty Keene's an old high school buddy of mine.
Awesome.
Yep, he's a pretty good old boy. You'd like him. You two got together, whatever. He's a good old country boy, just like us.
I deserve this. Northeast Ohio Catfish says, hey, Couz, how about those Bearcats? Still think they're going to be the worst team in the Big 12.
Oh, snap. Since he put the damn wet towel on Pittsburgh's ass.
I do not Northeast Ohio Catfish. As a matter of fact, my Pitt and West Virginia breakdown video, preview video will come out tomorrow, and I give you guys a shout out in that video. So I do have to eat crow on that one, my man. Obviously, the conference season hasn't started yet, but there is no way Cincinnati's the worst team in that conference, because they look like a pretty darn good football team, to be honest.
I mean, they're proving that they're building something there.
Yeah,
and they're going to be a threat to Ohio State in the future, as far as the Power 5 conference goes. Ohio State hasn't had to deal with that for 100+ years. They haven't had to put up with another Power 5 team being in their state, but Cincinnati's coming. There he is.
The man with the plan. College football, Jonathan Lewis.
Here's our podcasting sensei.
There he is, fellas.
He's the one that talks the way.
Thank you for joining the show, Jonathan.
Yeah, why don't you get on live, Jonathan? Quit being scared. You done got punked out, man. You done got scared. Get on the mic these days.
Johnny Fairlane says his Briles going to pay his salary. I'm not sure what he's talking about. To be honest,
Briles going to pay whose salary? Jeff Lebby's?
I don't know.
I guess they're saying that Jeff Lebby's about to get fired or something.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. Looky here, folks. Got Heath Stokes in the house. Thank you.
Woo!
$2 super chat, man. Means a lot. Thank you for the support, brother. Johnny Fairlane with the $4 super chat or super sticker. I don't. It's super something. It's super. $4.99 is all I know.
It is super. That's super no matter what. Told you, man, the Oklahoma invasion's coming. We're going to turn this into the Sooner corner tonight instead of Couz corner.
There you go.
The Sooners corner.
That actually sounds. You know what? That actually sounds like a name for a good podcast, doesn't it?
That's right.
If I ever get big enough to where I can start my own network, I'll have one for every team. Sooner corner, Bama corner, whatever. Northeast Ohio Catfish. Thank you for the $2. Thanks, Couz. You're welcome, man.
Don't be like Mark Rogers now.
Heath Stokes says the Stokes clan is here. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Stokes. Keith's mother is a big college football fan. Alice Stokes. That's what he's talking about. She's probably fixing to pop up in here in a minute. Can you hear me on the mic here?
I can hear you.
All right. Just make sure. What did he say? What did Jonathan say?
I'll take it down too soon. It says Venable said he was blindsided with Briles showing up.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He might have, like, damn, he's already out here. Might as well take a picture with him and just go ahead and take the heat.
Yeah, Cracker, I figured that, man. I figured that. I was just making a joke, but yeah, it is a good name. I like it.
But we're fixing to take it. We'll just take it. They better give him a blue check mark or something from X.
Marty King, another super chat. He says, you want me to share this out to Facebook groups? Sure, if you want to, man. I'd love it.
Hell yeah. Share it out.
Absolutely.
We'll share it. We don't mind being shared, do we, Couz?
Killer Breeze says Mark who? I think, I know he knows who Mark is.
Yeah, we got some trash talkers in here.
Not even going down that road.
I saw that. Outlaw posse mounting up and coming together with the Couz's corner.
Look, I have nothing personal against Mark, so I'm not going to talk bad about Mark, but I did see the video, Killer Breeze, that you're referring to, man.
Mark had something to say?
No, just the time that Mark did that like 20-minute video about people talking trash to him about Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. That was it's not a good look for Mark.
I think wasn't Killer Breeze part of that, one of those people that he singled out?
I think Killer Breeze got him up and he's feeling so bad he had to do a screenshot of it. These college football fans, man, they'll find your button. They'll press it.
Heath Stokes says, what's Alabama going to do with the QB position?
Well, man, I don't know. That's a tricky question, too. I mean, the theme song this week, me and Couz, is Tricky by Run DMC. And it's really tricky, man. Had a guy made a joke. I think it was Johnny Fairlane guy was posting here earlier, said something about, is Alabama going to go to, I think it was a guy named Denizen, said that Alabama needs to go to the old wishbone offense. That way, Jalen Milroe won't throw 50,000 interceptions. Man, it's a hard call. I mean, he had a lot of fumbles against Texas A&M in his first start last year. And this year he had a lot of fumbles as well. And those 2 interceptions led directly to 10 points. So I hate to put it all on one player, but it directly cost Alabama the game, in my opinion. I hate to be like that, but I don't know. What do you think, Couz?
Well, I'll be honest. I haven't got a chance to watch him play yet, so I'm really not educated enough to talk about it. I was too busy watching West Virginia. Their game, unfortunately, coincided with West Virginia's the other night, so I wasn't able to watch it.
2 picks deep in our own territory, basically gimme scores for Texas. So, and last year he was a turnover machine against A&M. So I would just like to see Tyler Buckner get some playing time.
Yeah.
Buckner come from Notre Dame. Tommy Rees come from Notre Dame. So he might be more familiar with the system,
I did watch him play a little bit last year, and he can run around, but I wasn't all that impressed with his accuracy.
He can throw a deep ball, but he cannot throw the intermediate routes.
Right. See, our quarterback's kind of in the same boat right now, to be honest. He's got one of the most beautiful deep balls I've ever seen, and he has a pretty ball, even on the intermediate stuff, but he's not as accurate with it, unfortunately. So I know what you're talking about.
Hey Heath, is your son up in here too? Austin Stokes.
Daniel Gigax, thank you for the super chat, my man. Daniel's one of my loyal supporters. He says, "What shocks me is didn't OU know who his father-in-law was before Saturday, and eat shit pit."
Yeah, somebody's talking about they might put a ban on him where he can't come to games, sort of like they did old Harvey Updike in Alabama when he poisoned those trees at Auburn. People say you can't put a ban on people coming to a public venue, but yes, you can.
Yeah,
I've always liked Daniel's last name too, man. That's all.
I personally think that's a little too far.
What's that? Banning him?
Banning him, yeah.
What about Harvey Updike? You think he deserves to be banned?
I'll be honest with you. I don't even know who that is.
He poisoned those trees at Auburn.
Oh, that guy. Okay. Yeah, that guy.
He got banned, and then he showed up all in disguise and stuff, and people was taking pictures with him and stuff.
I knew about that story, but I didn't know his name.
Yeah, you do now.
That's funny.
I used to take pictures of piles of firewood and say R.I.P. to Toomer's Corner.
He says, "Yes, sir. We're all here."
You got the Stokes. You got them stoked up in here, man.
In college football, Jonathan Lewis says, "Ty Simpson, free that man."
Ty Simpson's going to enter the portal, from what I'm hearing.
Really?
From what I'm hearing that, because he's behind Tyler Buckner. He actually the third string quarterback now.
Yeah.
Now they're saying that Dylan Lonergan guy, the fourth string guy, that's a freshman. They're saying he's looking really good. So who knows? He might get an opportunity before it's all said and done.
Well, coming into the season, there was a lot of question marks around the quarterback position at Alabama. A lot of people. Because Tyler Buckner, he wasn't real consistent at Notre Dame either.
No, he was a turnover machine too.
Yeah, he ended up getting benched at one point.
He could put up some stats, but he had a lot of turnovers.
Yeah.
So might just be pick your poison right now for Alabama. Alabama's due a season where we lose 2 or 3 games probably. It hasn't happened in a while, so we'll probably do.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing nobody's talked about with this Oklahoma thing that I was thinking about earlier, Outlaw, is Brent Venables and Castiglione. Well, a lot of it's probably led by Castiglione, but look, they had the whole issue with old Gundy, Kel Gundy last year, and now this.
Kel Gundy was this past summer, right?
Was it this past summer or was it I thought it was last year.
Really? I thought it was. It might have been last year. I thought it was this August.
It's been since Venables got there, so.
These damn years just start meshing together once you get my age.
Yeah, same. He's Stokes. Not sure if this channel is anything related, but RIP to Blue and Gold Dude, always watched. We are related, but we're not. Totally different channel. But we did collaborate together quite a bit, and we were both West Virginia fans, so we had that in common. And he helped me out a lot when I was getting started. So yeah, I definitely miss that guy for sure. Especially,
the stuff that I use to do my memes and my song and stuff and my lead up for my podcast and whatnot, all that stuff. Golden Blue dude put me onto that. So he helped me a lot. He was a little aggravating sometimes about certain things. But overall, he was a good dude, man. And I hate that for his family.
Yeah, me too. Tim Gillespie says, I've heard people say Briles shouldn't be allowed out the games at all. We have athletes beating their wives and still play. It's a bit hypocritical to try to ban someone from attending games.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good point.
I agree. What do y'all think Colorado's record will be? I'll let you go first, Outlaw. I've got to think about that one.
Well, people are already dismissive of Colorado State, but I think it'd be pretty funny if Colorado State were to sneak up and beat Colorado this week after they supposedly got the 2 Power 5 teams out of the way. TCU had given up 155 points their last 3 games. So that was a recipe for an upset right there for con time out of the gate. And then, of course, Nebraska is not Nebraska anymore. We all know this. Nebraska's been in the crapper for quite some time. We'll know more about where his season's going to go, I think, when they play Oregon. That's the fourth game of the year. It wouldn't surprise me if he won the first 3 games of the year, which he's about to do, and then basically tanks it for the rest of the year and ends up 3-9. That wouldn't surprise me at all, but I think he'll probably sneak and win maybe 1 or 2 more. I think he probably ends up with 4 or 5 wins this season.
I'm going to go down their schedule here real quick. They're going to beat Colorado State. They'll be 3-0. Then they play Oregon, like you said. They might lose that one. Then they got USC. They could drop those 2. But 3-2. They'll beat Arizona State. They'll beat Stanford. UCLA's a toss-up. Oregon State's a toss-up. They'll beat Arizona. They're 6.
Oregon State's a good team.
I know. Then they've got, like I said, they'll beat Arizona. That's 6 wins.
Arizona almost beat Mississippi State. Arizona's not a bad team this year, I don't think.
And then they close the year out with Washington State and Utah, who were both ranked. So
Washington State upset Wisconsin for the 2nd year in a row. Washington State did.
I saw that. Hey, Luke Pickle not getting off to a great start at Wisconsin, is he?
Cincinnati got off to a good start without him, though, didn't they?
I know. And now,
I know that made you happy, right?
Hey, dude, I didn't see it coming. Oh, I was glad to see him beat Pitt, but I didn't see it coming.
So, what's your final title? You think he's going to have a winning season this year or something?
I got him at 6-6.
6-6.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with 4-8.
That's still a hell of a turnaround, man, considering they were 1-11 last year.
Yeah, if it happens. 4-8 though. After starting 3-0, if he goes 4-8 or 5-7, I think that's a little bit of a fizzle.
Heath Stokes says the Lebby deal, I think, is cancel culture at its best. I blame Briles. He should respect his family and not put them in this situation. Another bad choice.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, he knows he's a lightning rod.
Art probably shouldn't have came on the field. He should have probably thought to himself, hey, this probably may not be a good idea. But in the moment, you're probably not thinking, hey, it's after the game. People are going to take pictures of me and make a big deal out of it. He probably didn't see it coming. But Art is a bit of an attention whore sometimes.
Yeah, and who knows? He could have said, you know what, it's probably not a good idea, and then maybe somebody else in the family talked him into it. Who knows?
Yeah, Lebby could even said, hey, man, I'll take the heat. Just come on out here. I think it's also something that the Oklahoma fans like in a way, so because there's some of them that they're not really sold on Lebby's offense after the way it performed against SMU, and they're thinking to themselves, well, hey, this is maybe an out for us to get rid of the guy.
Yeah. Heath Stokes says the Kel Gunny was BS. My only knock on BV was the Kel Gunny situation. Yeah, I didn't like how that was handled either. I had a big problem with that.
Especially when the players come out and said, hey, it was just him kidding around with us, and we didn't take offense to it. If the players didn't take offense to it, who he was talking to about it, then nobody else should take offense to it.
Yeah, Art's not going to coach anywhere again. Nobody's going to hire him.
If you come up, for example, and call me a perfect cracker, like that guy right there, and I got offended by it, well, then I got offended by it. But if I didn't get offended by it, then why would anybody else get offended by you calling me a cracker?
Right. All right, let's go ahead and move. Let me make sure I haven't missed any super chats here before we move on. I think I got everybody. All right, let's move over to the other topic I want to talk about, and that is Texas Tech getting a 5-star wide receiver, the first one, the highest recruit in program history.
Didn't Texas Tech get a wide receiver last year or a while back, and then Oklahoma flipped him? They got like a real good wide receiver, and then he ended up flipping to Oklahoma or something like that.
I think they had I don't know if he was a wide receiver, but I remember that story, yes. But I don't remember the exact position. I don't know if he was a 5-star or not.
People were asking me last week about maybe some possible upsets, and I told them that, it would not surprise me if Baylor felt a little embarrassed getting beat by Texas State if they didn't turn around and beat Utah. Mm-hmm. I'll be damned, man. They almost done it. They almost made it look like Nostradamus. They almost beat them.
They did.
And then Texas Tech almost beat Oregon. Probably should have beat Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Micah Hudson, number 7 player in the 24 class, chose the Red Raiders over Texas and Texas A&M. He's the first 5-star recruit to ever commit to Texas Tech. Well, I felt like that was interesting.
What's that say about Lubbock? It's not being too good of a place to be, huh?
Apparently not.
I've never been to Lubbock. I've always wanted to go. I heard it was out there in the middle of nowhere there.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons their old coach got in hot water, because they asked him about it, and he kind of said there's nothing to do.
Why is he dressed like that? He looks like Antifa.
That's probably a lot of the players wear that under their helmets and stuff, like in cold weather.
Really?
Yeah, you've never seen that?
Well, I've never seen it in a picture inside.
I haven't seen it either.
Indoors, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know, man.
It's like someone wearing sunglasses at night.
Yeah, he's young. He's youngins, man. You know how they are.
Yeah. What's his name? Antifa Hudson? Is that what you said his name was?
No, it's Micah Hudson. Don't gut nuts. Fatlaw, you're going to get me in trouble, man. 5-star plus wide receiver Micah Hudson of Temple, Texas, Lake Belton High, announced his commitment to Texas Tech. See, Joey McGuire, man, him and his connections to Texas high school football already paying dividends for him.
Did you say Jerry McGuire?
Joey McGuire. Oh. Show me the money.
Show me the money. Hey, they showing them the money these days now.
Yep, they are. Hey,
that Jerry McGuire shit is for real.
Texas Tech got deep pockets too, man. They do, believe it or not. All them Texas schools do, probably. He said that what ultimately stood out about Texas Tech is the real relationships I have with not only the whole coaching staff, but with Coach McGuire, Coach Nance, and Director of Player Personnel, and also Coach Justin Johnson, the assistant head coach and wide receivers coach. As he says, McGuire is a selfless and caring coach. There aren't too many coaches out there like McGuire who will take the blame for everything and be understanding about things. He's a God-fearing man, very strong on faith, the way he cares for people. I'm not going to read all that. But he does.
You're really high on Texas Tech, ain't you? I can tell you like them.
I kind of am, yeah. I like their fans, man. They're very passionate. They're a little bit. They like to talk smack, but they're very passionate.
Someone said they throw tacos or something at you.
They throw tortillas at you, yeah.
The hell's that all about?
I don't know, man. I have no idea.
As bad as somebody burning a couch.
It is almost as bad, ain't it? At least it's not batteries or something.
Actually, I wish y'all hadn't quit that tradition at West Virginia, man. If I was coming up there, I was looking forward to setting something on fire, man.
Well, you can still do it. You just can't do it in downtown Morgantown or on campus.
Backing back up to that Lebby thing, I just thought of something. You sort of touched on it, but if for some reason his offenses tend to struggle a little bit this year, do you think that'll make it easier for him to maybe get rid of him after 1 year with the situation that took place this past week? Do you think they'll use that against him?
They could. Or he could also use it against him to find another job.
Yeah, he could. We'll take him here. We'll take him down here at Alabama.
If they do well and the offense does well, he's probably going to be. He may have a shot at some head coaching opportunities.
Yeah, if they can turn around. He didn't look too good against SMU, but I told him that I thought SMU was a pretty good team this year. It was going to be closer than they thought.
Yeah.
Plus, SMU just got invited to a Power 5 conference, so they're back in the big time again. They ain't been in the big time since they got, put on the death penalty back in the 80s with the Southwest Conference. They got that invite to the ACC, man. They're probably feeling good about themselves and wanting to prove themselves in that game.
Absolutely. Yeah, SMU's a good program anyway. I mean, they're on the up and up, or on the come up, I guess, as they say.
Yeah, they could just get the Dallas people behind them. They might have something going on there.
They got. Did you hear that comment their big booster made about the $200 million that they're going to have to come up with to compete?
No, I didn't see that. What did he say?
He basically said, "Oh, that's nothing."
Yeah, I believe him. Back in the day with the Pony Express, if you know your college football history, they were throwing out some major dollars back then, even in the 80s. So
Greg James and Eric Dickerson, wasn't it? Isn't that who played for them back then?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember SMU was like in the top 5 every year in the early 80s and mid 80s. They were top 5 program.
Yeah. Yeah, that Micah Hudson's the number 2 player in the state of Texas and number 2 receiver in the country too. Just to add to that story, but I ran across another interesting story today, Outlaw, that I thought you would find funny. But I got to grab some. I got to grab my notes. Hold on one second. I got some quotes I was going to read. Hold on.
No, he's going old school, y'all. He's had them notes wrote down.
Actually, I printed them off the computer, but still, same deal. Same difference.
I'll be old school too, man. I got a notepad out here like the one I used to use in 3rd grade and shit.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Let me see what.
My 3rd grade teacher was hot, by the way, just to be random.
He says, I hope Texas Tech don't go back to Wyoming. That Antifa gear better be insulated.
Yeah. Man, I saw that game at Texas Tech Wyoming game. Is Wyoming, don't they have one of the coolest football fields as far as design goes? Man, that's a pretty cool football field.
I believe, yeah, I mean, it is pretty cool. Well, just based on what I saw on the TV. Yeah, it is neat.
It's just out in the middle of nowhere.
I was actually surprised at how nice their stadium is. They say they got a really good program.
They say Wyoming is one of the least populated states in the union. Oh, wow. Keith Stokes putting up the money tonight.
Thank you for the support, brother. It means a lot, man. Check this out. I found this today by mistake. You know, UCF beat Boise State, right, this past weekend.
18-16.
Huh?
18-16.
Correct, on a walk-off field goal.
I didn't know that.
Boise State fans, some of them anyway, are absolutely livid and then are up in arms about it. Listen to some of these quotes. This is from the MWC board. It's a Mountain West Conference message board. Boise State just lost to trash, garbage, low-life trailer park scum.
What?
Yeah, listen to this one. Do you know how we know toothpaste was invented by a UCF fan? Because if anyone else invented it, they would have called it teeth paste.
Yeah, that's been around for a while. They need to get some new shit.
And then somebody else commented, says, if my sister had went to a dump like UCF, I would have called her a whore and disowned her. But she's not even close to being that trashy.
Nice.
Here's another one. I'm embarrassed. That was a bad loss. Shameful to lose a home to garbage like that. I'm sorry, Mountain West Conference fans. Our program embarrassed the conference tonight. I hope we never lose to trash like UCF again.
Well, isn't UCF in a Power 5 conference?
That's where I'm going. I think Boise fans are so jealous. Not all of them, but these idiots are so jealous that Boise isn't in a Power 5 conference. I mean, think about this. UCF's located in Orlando, Florida. And these people are in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah.
How do they have a right to call Orlando trailer trash?
It sounds like they're making a broad brush statement about Southern people in general. You know, the old stereotype is about
Probably are.
That kind of deal, you know. But that stuff, like I told Buddy of mine, that's been long gone and over with, man. You can't really judge people by geographical location these days. People have migrated north and south, you know, post-Civil War for over 100 years now, man. It's just not like that. The stereotypes they try to brandish Southern people with. And like you said, they're in Boise, Idaho. A lot of skinheads and all them racist people have moved up there and got compounds in Montana and Idaho. So, you know, they're the ones to talk. They need to watch what they say because they're looking a tad bit hypocritical.
Agreed. This one says going 0-2 against trash like UCF should put Andy on the chopping block.
Do what?
Going 0-2 against them. I guess they lost to them last year too.
Well, Central Florida has one of the biggest enrollments in America. What does Boise State got? Boise State used to be a junior college. I'm not making that up. They used to be a junior college in the 1970s. So they might want to look in the mirror.
And there was a lot more of those, by the way. I just printed out a few of them.
I think their time has passed. Their little window's passed. They had an opportunity there in the early 2000s and the mid-teens, and they didn't capitalize completely. I remember them losing to Colin Kaepernick in Nevada when they had a chance to actually make the BCS title game. They could have been the team to break through, and they shit the bed against Nevada. So y'all doing it to yourself, Boise. Smurf turf, whatever. Who the hell paints their damn field blue anyway?
And get this one. Those are beachfront trailer parks.
They do realize that Disney World's there. That's probably one of the biggest attractions in the world, right?
And do they realize that Orlando's not even on the coast? It's in the middle of the state. There's no beaches in Orlando.
They're out there in Boise, man. They so damn cold out there. Brains probably froze. They probably had brain freeze year round up there.
I mean, look at a map. Orlando, I mean, if you're going to talk trash, at least be educated about it and use something that makes sense.
They just take that Southern stereotype and run with it. Most people in Florida are not even what you would consider Southern people. They don't have an accent like Southern people. Most of them are supplanted people from New York and have migrated down there to retire.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds to me like Boise State is jealous of UCF because they got in a Power 5 conference before they did. Well, and I understand that, but UCF earned it, in my opinion.
From what I understand, a lot of people try to make academics a part of this, and from what I understand, I could be wrong, but Boise's academics are horrendous. You want to talk about people's mental capacity and stuff, and maybe y'all need to get your academics in order. Maybe you might have a chance to get in the Pac-2. Y'all can make it to Pac-3. Oregon State and Washington State tried to sue. Did you hear about that?
I did. They actually did sue, and right now they've got a restraining order against the Pac-12 was supposed to have a board meeting tomorrow, and it was going to include everybody on the board, which is even the teams that are leaving. And Oregon State and Washington State filed a lawsuit to get that stopped because they were basically like, it's 10 against 2 here. Everybody's going to be voting to get, they're basically wanting to get part of the revenue and part of the money that's owed to them before they leave.
Well, even if the Pac-12 stayed around in name only and they invited 8 Mountain West schools or AAC schools or whatever, they, in my opinion, would have to lose their Power 5 status at that point. Because that's just too many non-Power 5 teams to be adding at one time, in my opinion.
I agree with you. And basically the outcome of that is the judge ruled for the Pac-12, or for Oregon State and Washington State, rather, and said that basically they cannot hold that meeting in person, and they cannot talk about funding, I guess, because apparently, according to one report I read, the Pac-12 was actually going to help fund the exit for the teams that are leaving. Can you believe that?
Pac-12 is going to fund it?
They were going to help fund it for them to leave.
For who to leave?
The teams that are leaving.
How are they going to afford to fund that many teams?
Don't
they still owe Comcast too, right?
Well, right. Well, I mean, there's money there that they would be paid for the media deal that they're already in, basically. But according to the bylaws, once you announce you're leaving, you are no longer a member of the conference. You can no longer get a seat on the board. You don't get to vote on anything, or none of that. And they're trying to still vote and still trying to make decisions for the conference, which could include them getting money, right?
That's right. Well, I'll tell you what I was on board with is something that started percolating up, but it didn't come to fruition, is the fact that, Arizona State tried to screw everybody and drug their feet on that for a little while. If I was the Big 12, I would have told Arizona State to take a hike, and I would have added Oregon State. To me, Oregon State is a much better fan base and a much better university to me to add to the Big 12.
Yeah, they're Oregon State and Washington State are both good schools, I think.
Well, they're small college towns, and a lot of these traditional powerhouses come from smaller towns, like Alabama's from Tuscaloosa. This small college town atmosphere is what it's all about, just like Morgantown.
Yep.
Alice Stokes.
I'm assuming she's part of the Stokes clan. Thank you, Alice.
That's right. The clan's up in here, boy. They're mounting up in here, boy. They're ready to join the corner.
Thank you, Alice, for becoming a VIP member at Couz's Corner.
She's the first lady of the Outlaw Posse, by the way.
She's also the first lady VIP at Couz's Corner as well.
Wow. These Oklahoma fans, man, I never knew they were this hardcore about their support, man. They very supportive, and I'm an Alabama fan, so you can't say I'm being biased. Very supportive fan base. And I've done a few videos on your fan base as well, and they're very supportive fan base too, West Virginia.
Yeah, the few Oklahoma videos I've done, I haven't done a ton, but the few I've done have done fairly well. Not all of them, but most of them do. But it's funny, there are a few teams in the Big 12 I can do videos on, and nobody watches them. Like, they might get 100 views. Baylor, for example. No offense to Baylor, but when I do videos on Baylor, people don't watch them. They don't draw a lot of interest.
I tell you, a sneaky good fan base, and you already know this, is BYU.
Yeah.
You tap into the BYU fan base, and I've done a couple of videos on them, and they've done well. I need to do another one. That fan base is worldwide, just like the University of Notre Dame. They got that Catholic and the Mormon thing going on, the huge religious support as well. So if you can tap into BYU, that'd be great. I heard Kansas State's got a sneaky good fan base too.
They're pretty decent. Yeah, they're decent. I need to. My goal was to do videos on all the Big 12 teams, but I don't have time to do them. And I do want.
It's impossible.
I do want on every. I try to touch all of them at some point, right? But there's so many.
It's better to just do a few here and there. I like the way you intermix the expansion stuff,
right,
with your stuff.
Well, the expansion kind of, everybody's interested in that. Every fan base is interested in that, right? So it touches every fan base and every team.
Florida State has a good presence too on YouTube, by the way.
Oh, Florida State's fans, yeah, they do.
That surprised me. I didn't expect that because I've done some Florida videos and they didn't do well, but Florida State's like night and day. They support the hell out of it. So Tomahawk.
Tim Gillespie says, "Why would anyone want to watch a video about Baylor?"
I might watch one of them David Koresh documentaries. That's the only thing I know about Waco.
Oh, man.
Koresh.
Hey, in all seriousness, I actually love documentaries, and I've actually seen that one, and it's actually good.
There's some fishy stuff going on. I mean, David Koresh was a certified psycho, but some of the stuff the FBI done with that was a little shady.
Yes, it absolutely was.
They killed a bunch of women and children.
They did, and when I saw that, man, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe the United States government. I could not believe the United States government did that, man.
It makes me mad just thinking about it right now.
Yeah, me too. Alice Stokes with a $10 donation. Thank you, Alice.
You have to have a Stokes VIP room. You have to have a Stokes room on here.
There we go. There we go. Killer Breeze says LSU has a good fan base when they aren't drunk.
Now, I forgot about LSU. I have done a few of their videos. They are a very good fan base. They take a lot of heat. People say they're a bad fan base, but I've never had any issues with them. And they treated me well when I went down there for the Independence Bowl. They give me a free ticket to a tent where you got free booze and food and everything.
Yeah. I went down to a game a few years ago when.
Oh shit!
I went down to a game a few years ago when West Virginia played them, and they couldn't have been nicer to me. I got invited to all these tailgate parties. People thanked me for coming, shook my hand. It was really cool.
I see what you said, Heath.
That's right. He's a closet. He likes old Linky boys.
Yeah, you got the closet part right as far as USC goes. There's a bunch of damn skittle shitters out there. He's trying to get me started on them, man. I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to get me started on USC.
Sorry, David. We are talking college football. We just like to blend other stuff in with it, man.
Yeah, we're a very varied lot of people here, David. Just jump on in.
We might even talk about the nature boy, Ric Flair, in a minute or something.
That's right. Woo! Might talk about The Rock and the Sock Connection, all that stuff, man.
Yep.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah. Stickum 365 does good viewership, and it's Baylor-centric, but also talks about the Big 12 in general. Yeah, and that's, like I say, I'm West Virginia-centric, try to talk about the whole Big 12, but those guys do it full-time, too, and I don't, so. I
never see 365 barely talk about Baylor anymore. They went so nationwide that they don't really touch on Baylor as much. But, I had some issues and got aggravated with them about a few things, but you made me come to my senses a little bit on that. There's some pretty good guys there.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I don't agree with all their takes, but
You can't agree with everybody all the time, right?
and I tell you what I appreciate about them is even though they're a larger media outlet that has a pretty wide audience, they're not afraid to give their opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of them won't. Like they talked about the Art Briles thing the other day, and I was anxious to see what they would say because Craig Smoke is an Oklahoma fan, but he covers Baylor, right? So I was kind of, and so I thought it was cool that they, and anything they say when they give their opinion, they're at risk of losing viewers, right? Especially on a topic.
Are any of them Baylor fans? I mean, they're supposed to be.
No, they just cover Baylor.
Sound like me. I'm an Alabama fan. I cover Oklahoma.
Paul Catalina graduated from Florida State, so he's a Florida State fan.
All right, now Craig Smoke, is that the older one?
No, Craig's the son. He's the younger one.
Craig's the son. He's an Oklahoma fan.
Yes, and then David is actually a Nebraska fan.
Wow, you got some variation going on there.
Yeah, but they've covered Baylor for years. They're all professional journalists. The older one
is a Nebraska guy.
Huh?
The older one is Nebraska.
Yes, Smokey, the one they call Smokey.
Yeah, about as old as Nebraska's fan base is getting. Their fan base is dwindling.
Thank you, Killer Breed. He said he just subscribed. Thank you, man. Here's Bagman. Thank you, Bagman. He says UCF will be the first Big 12 team in the CFP era to win a natty. It's very possible. I don't know that I buy it. But it's possible.
It might be the first new team that got added to make a run like that. But as far as overall, that's a hard one. It's a hard one.
That's a stretch, Bagman, but it's possible. I do like the ascension they've made has been extremely rapid. I mean, they only became a Division I school, I think, in the 1970s, and they're already in a Power 5 conference. That's pretty remarkable.
I could see BYU making a run. They've won a national title before.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, and this is coming from a West Virginia fan. I don't see anybody outside the Big Ten or SEC winning a national championship anytime soon.
Now, Utah might be able to make a run since they're coming to the Big 12.
But not because the money gap now is getting so big, it's going to be hard for these other schools to compete now. I mean, they're having trouble competing anyway with the SEC.
So this is totally off the subject. I was thinking about it. How many more years you think Nick Saban's got coming from an outsider?
Good question. I actually was thinking about that the other day. I think it depends. If he misses the playoffs a couple years in a row, I think he'll retire. What do you think?
I think you could be right. I get maybe 2 or 3 years. I know he's got an 8-year contract, but that was just window dressing to keep the negative recruiting off of him. A lot of people ask me who would succeed him. For the longest time, everybody was talking about Dabo Swinney and stuff, but I would like to see him go after Chris Kleiman. I'm a real big Chris Kleiman fan. I like Chris Kleiman at K-State.
Agreed. He's one of the best coaches in college football, and I know that sounds crazy, but when you look at what he has to work with and the area he has to recruit, and he's still able to compete on a national level, it's pretty remarkable.
Well, he succeeded a legend already. Bill Snyder probably done more with less than any coach in college football history. Bill Snyder was probably just as good a coach as Nick Saban and Bear Bryant, in my opinion.
David Griffin thinks he has 4 years left, maybe, if they find a quarterback. Heath Stokes has got to work early. Love talking college football. Got to jump now. Hope the podcast goes on. Thank you, Heath, man. Much love to you, man, for the support. Thanks for bringing your crew along, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Timothy says he has 3 years left, he thinks. So, interesting.
So, those people responding, who would they – there's another one.
Heath dropped another $10 donation. Thank you, Heath. What's that?
So, those people that are responding to the Saban question, who do they think would be a good successor?
I think, me personally, I think you could look at anybody right now like some of the I'm trying to think of some of these I like Chris Kleiman. He's a good one. Lance Leipold, but I don't know. He's kind of up there in age too, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got to prove himself. You know, Dave Aranda had that one good season. He was the hot name, but now he's sort of cooled off.
Who's that?
Dave Aranda had been a hot name, but now he's sort of cooled off because he sort of took a slide.
And if Dabo doesn't embrace the portal and NIL, he's not going to succeed like he was before.
Yeah, Dabo needs to come off of that, man. He looks highly hypocritical considering he's drawing a $10 million salary.
Yeah. I think Neil Brown would be a good candidate. I was being funny, Outlaw. You're supposed to laugh.
I was looking at that comment. I was looking at that donation guide again. What'd you say? Run it by me again.
I said Neil Brown would be a good candidate to replace him.
Oh, shit. Maybe to go back to Troy State. Troy State will probably take him back.
Uh-oh. Robbie Schultz thinks, wait a minute, where did I see that comment at? Oh, Bagman says Lincoln Riley will take over after Saban leaves.
Oh, shit. That's not going to happen. I'll make sure I'm on the tarmac down there, man. I'll be done. Made that plane blow up or something.
I knew you'd love that one.
Damn Skittle shooter.
With Garrett Riley as his OC and Alex Grinch as DC.
Yeah. They're gonna be out of the job for long. They're gonna be in the Japanese American Football League with the Nagasaki egg rolls.
You know who might end up with a Power 5 job next year?
Who's that?
The OC at Colorado. His name's Sean something. I can't think of his last name.
That Colorado love.
Well, people are already talking about that.
Little con time, done conned you.
You got to admit their offense is rolling right now.
Yeah. It's not very good teams. We'll see.
If Luke Fickell does well at Wisconsin, I don't know that he'd leave the Midwest though. He's a Midwest guy, or not Midwest, but North Central guy.
Yeah, Wisconsin's got a lot of money. They got a huge fan base too, by the way.
Yeah, and he's a big devout Catholic, so he wants to make sure he lives somewhere that has really strong Catholic roots. And I don't went to Alabama might, I don't know.
I tell you what, the defensive coordinator at Iowa would be a good head coach somewhere. I mean, he's kept Iowa from just winning 2 or 3 games a year. Iowa's offense is so pathetic that the only thing they got is a defense there at Iowa.
Thank you.
He's not next.
Much love, man. Thank you. Killer Breeze says, "Con time to replace Saban."
Shit, and they did give me hell tonight, man. And they got me on Lincoln Riley and con time. And I'm gonna have to get you, Killer Breeze.
Next thing,
come up with something about them.
Hey, I got one for you. How about
down on the bayou?
How about Brian Kelly?
Shit, man. You know, Alabama did take LSU's former coach Nick Saban, so maybe they're going to take Brian Kelly too.
That's true. Brian Kelly's a good coach.
I don't know, he's a little quirky.
I mean, he got it handed to him the other day by Florida State. Hey, there's one. Speaking of that.
Yeah, Mike Norvell?
Yep.
That could be a possibility.
If he keeps winning.
Maybe Mario Cristobal at Miami. You know, he was a Saban disciple. Mario Cristobal.
The Utah head coach is pretty close to retiring too, I think, Anthony. I think he might retire before Saban does.
Kyle Whittingham?
Yeah.
He's a really good coach.
How about Jimbo?
No.
Jimbo may be the next coach at West Virginia. Who knows?
Y'all going to make me have a coordinator in a minute.
Robbie says Alabama's going to go back to nothing after Saban. I don't know, man. He's going to leave a very...
that's wishful thinking. Now, we may have a lull, just like everybody does, but Alabama's won national championships under 5 different head coaches. So, Saban didn't create Alabama. Alabama created Saban.
What about, are there any coaches out there, Outlaw, that are doing well right now who are Alabama alums or who played at Alabama?
Dabo Swinney.
I should have been more specific. Other than Dabo Swinney.
Other than Dabo, I had to think about that one.
I knew about him, but we'd already talked about him.
Trying to get D'Amico Ryans. I think he's a head coach in the NFL, ain't he? Or somewhere.
He might be an assistant. He might be a head coach now. I don't know.
Who's the
Anyway,
head coach? Who's the head coach of the Houston Texans?
oh God, I don't even know now. To be honest with you, I don't keep up with the NFL a lot.
I think he's an Alabama alum. Freddie Kitchens was the head coach at Cleveland for a little while. Freddie Kitchens was a quarterback at Alabama.
Yeah.
I
didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was just curious.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. We used to have a lot of alumni.
What about Kirby Smart? Did he go to Alabama?
No, he went to Georgia.
Oh, he's a Georgia alum. Okay. Makes sense then.
That's his supposed dream job unless he gets an NFL job.
Yeah, so he's probably not leaving then. Unless they have some kind of falling out or something. But yeah, that's a good question. But I think Saban's got 3 or 4 years left in him, maybe. A lot of it's just going to depend on how they do, honestly. I think the NIL era might enable some of these other teams to compete with them now. That has deep pockets, like the Texas schools and whatnot.
You got me racking my brain over here for Alabama alumni. I'm sorry, thinking about it. That's a good question.
No worries.
What about you? What about your team? How many more years you think Neil Brown's got?
Oh gosh, may depend on whether we win or lose on Saturday. I don't know, man. It's really hard to tell. It's going to depend on how this season goes. If he has a decent season, he'll probably be here a while. If not, then he'll probably be out.
Who would you want to? Who do you think West Virginia could go after and get if he was be let go after this year?
If you look at candidates, what the fans want or at least talk about, you've got Rich Rodriguez. A lot of fans want to bring him back.
How's he doing at Jacksonville State?
He's 2-0.
Alabama was going to hire Rich Rod at one time, and he turned it down.
What Daniel Gigax made a comment. He says, in an alternate reality, Rich Rod goes to Bama, Saban comes home to West Virginia.
That would have been great for West Virginia.
Yeah. But, I mean, a lot of people have talked about Jimbo. People have talked about Rich Rod. Some of our fans want Garrett Riley. I'm not sold on Garrett Riley just yet. I think he needs more time.
He didn't look. He hasn't looked too good at Clemson.
No, and then here's what I mean. You got to look. I think you got to take a look at the athletic directors. This doesn't hold true 100% of the time, but I think you have to look at their past and where they worked before, and kind of connect the dots. So a lot of it may go back to where Ren Baker has worked and people he may know in his circles from the Oklahoma, Texas area. Tom Herman's one that West Virginia fans have talked about, possibly getting him.
Yeah, I think Tom Herman was. I think he was sort of not really given a fair shake.
He wanted to. Here's what happened to Tom Herman, is my understanding. Back during all the rioting and stuff, Texas is, I guess the song they play, their not their alma mater, but their fight song. A lot of the students or some people, the board members, or I don't know who it was, or no, it was players. I'm sorry, some of the players wanted to change the fight song because they thought it went back to talking about slavery or something. I don't know. I don't know what the lyrics are, but nonetheless. And the board of directors and the donors were basically like, no, there's no way we're doing that. This is our fight song. We're not changing it. He stood up. He took the player's side in that. And a lot of people
are a little too sensitive about certain things, man.
And a lot of people got mad. So the word is that he and the boosters basically didn't get along. And that was one of the issues. I'm sure there was more to it than that. But that was apparently one of the issues that they didn't get along on. So. But he's a good coach. I mean, he was doing better at Texas than any coach they had up until now. In the last
society today, man, is everybody's looking for a reason to be pissed off about something.
Yeah. But and I don't know if I'm telling that exactly right, but that's my understanding of how. Of one of the issues he got fired, because I don't think he got fired because he wasn't winning enough. I think it was because of that. But he just wasn't. He wasn't on the same page with a lot of the alumni and a lot of the boosters and those types of people. Eyes of Texas, yeah, Anthony Crawford, the Eyes of Texas song that they play.
When Texas and Oklahoma exit the Big 12, man, somebody's going to have to fill that gap as the new blue blood. I think it's going to make for some good positive stuff for those teams in the Big 12. Someone is going to eventually become a new blue blood, in my opinion. I'm not sure who it's going to be. I think one or two teams are going to become considered new blood as far as blue bloods go. I'd like to see your team, West Virginia, get that mantle because y'all have the 15th highest winning percentage in college football history. So
that's why one of the reasons the fan base is so upset right now is because we're experiencing this down time in our history, the worst one in 40 years, and it's at the worst possible time. And there's no reason West Virginia can't take the mantle of the Big 12 and run with it, in my opinion, because of the history we've had. Look what happened when the Big East, we owned the Big East there for several years, right? And got in several BCS bowl games. There's no reason we can't do that again and get into the CFP playoff, the college football playoff multiple times. I think we have, and we still can. I mean, it's not too late to do that. If can turn it around, or a new coach can turn it around. I mean, look at a lot of these coaches out there. Mike Elko at Duke, for example, he's one we haven't talked about. Some of these coaches can turn programs around in a year or two. Now, with a transfer portal now, you don't have to wait 4 or 5 years to do it anymore.
Well, it seems like every major conference since I've been watching football has a couple of blue bloods. And Big 12 is still considered a major conference to me. Mm-hmm. Someone's going to benefit from Texas and Oklahoma being gone. The question of who it is remains to be seen. Yeah. But somebody's going to really benefit from this. I really think it's a good thing. I know a lot of people were pissed off when they left, but I think it's a good thing for the Big 12.
I think Utah has a chance to be that team. I think Oklahoma State has an opportunity to be that team. TCU, Texas Tech, West Virginia, any of them could really.
Yeah,
I think it would be. I think UCF has an opportunity to do it. I think it'll take them a little longer but I mean they're already recruiting better than any team in the conference right now today.
Yeah, and they got a coach that was in a Power 5 conference for a number of years. So.
Yep. So they could do it, no doubt.
Auburn can't get out of their own way. And they've had coaches that beat Nick Saban and stuff, and for some reason they run them off. Tommy Tuberville beat Alabama 6 years in a row, and they run him off.
Yeah, that was crazy. I don't get it. Auburn makes no sense to me. Kevin Wilson at Tulsa's a coach I hadn't talked about. That's another good one.
What did Michael Olnick say?
Take Rich Rod to WVU, let the past in the past. Rich Rod at his age would stay to get us close to a lot between being ranked every week. They could get a good coach to push back to where we at.
If Rich Rod never leaves West Virginia for Michigan, I think West Virginia becomes a contender for at least being conference champions every year.
We were in the lead to get Terrell Pryor, the guy who won a national title at Ohio State and quarterback.
Exactly.
West Virginia was in the lead on his recruiting until Rich Rod left, and then he flipped. West Virginia was no longer. Now we ended up getting Geno Smith instead a couple years later, but that part worked out.
Rich Rod's had some questionable things happen in his career, but he can't be that bad of a coach of Alabama and Michigan on it.
But that's just an example of the trajectory our program was on. That we had players like that won't become to West Virginia,
Exactly. And y'all did have Pat White, right?
Right. We had Pat White, and we were on national television about every week because we had an exciting offense. We were winning, and
y'all were in position to play Ohio State for the national championship. And Pitt screwed y'all out of that. I think y'all starting quarterback. Quarterback got injured, right? Was your starting quarterback out for that game?
Not the whole game. He hurt his thumb. I don't know, early in the game at some point, and he wasn't himself the rest of the night. But Yeah, that's not something we like to talk about.
Damn Pitt, boy.
And they never stop talking about it either.
So do you think that the SMU Stanford, California thing is just something that's going to delay the inevitable? The ACC is going to end up getting consumed by the Big Ten and the SEC in the future? Maybe even the Big 12 consumes the ACC?
I don't know that it'll consume it, but I think they'll lose I still think they're going to lose their top brands. I think the ACC may survive, but they'll be on a level below where they are now. That's kind of what I think.
You'll be down there with the AAC?
No, they won't be that low. I mean, I think they'll be. I mean, they'll still be fairly close to the Big 12 in brand power, will they not?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, they'll still have. They could still have NC State. They could still have Duke. They could still have Georgia Tech, Syracuse, Stanford, Cal, SMU, Wake Forest, Boston
I think
College.
they're going to lose 4 teams. I think they're going to lose at least 4 teams in the future.
Yeah, I think they'll lose UNC, Florida State, Clemson, and Miami.
Yep. I think the SEC and the Big Ten will be fighting over those 4.
But they'll still have Pitt, Virginia Tech, Virginia, if Virginia doesn't go to the Big Ten. But, I mean, I think they'll still have enough brands.
It'd be good, though, that I think for the Big 12 that happened, because I think that you might be able to see your old rivalries come back to the Big 12.
Yeah. Now, it wouldn't. Now unless Brett Yormark can continue to work his magic and pull some kind of rabbit out of his hat with the next TV deal, then it might change the game, right? If they can become that clear number 3 as far as money,
that's right,
and get up into that 50 million range, and become like the premier basketball league.
Yeah,
and make people like Duke and Wake Forest and some of these other perennial basketball schools want to come to the Big 12. That's the only way I could see maybe them doing that. I just don't. A lot of people think the conference is going to collapse. I don't necessarily think it's going to.
What's that? The ACC?
Yeah. Tony Gibson is another one, Michael. I forgot to mention him earlier. I like Tony. He's actually one of the only guys I would want that doesn't have that coaching experience.
Where's Tony Gibson at?
He's the DC at NC State right now.
He's an offensive coordinator or something?
Defensive coordinator.
Defensive coordinator?
And he was our defensive coordinator under Dana Holgerson. And he's from West Virginia. He's a West Virginia resident originally. He was an assistant under Rich Rod. He left he followed Rich Rod to Michigan. Then went to Arizona for a year or 2. Then came to West Virginia to be the defensive coordinator for Dana. Of course, when Dana left, he interviewed for the head coaching job and didn't get it. They ended up hiring Neil, and he went and got the defensive coordinator job at NC State. And last year, he got a big pay bump to like $900,000 a year. He's one of the highest paid assistant coaches in the ACC right now.
Y'all could always get Pat McAfee to be your coach. He's a West Virginia alum.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm not sure he's football coach material though.
He can punt the ball.
Yeah, he can coach special teams, that's for sure. Man, everybody, I appreciate everybody being on here tonight. Appreciate all the super chats, appreciate all the comments, appreciate the support, appreciate my new channel members, my new subscribers. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button on your way out, please. Helps that algorithm. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Don't forget to share it with your family and friends like Outlaw here has been so kind to do. And Outlaw, tell them where they can find you at, man, I forgot to do that earlier. I'm sorry about that.
That's all good. It's pretty obvious. I'm Outlaw of College Football on YouTube. You can also be reached on Twitter at OCF Productions. And also, Couz has he's got a couple memberships as well. You got a VIP and a regular membership, right?
Well, they're both VIPs. They're just 2 different levels. One's a pub level, one's a club level.
Right. And one's $2.99, one's $4.99.
Pub level's $2.99, club level's $4.99. There are perks that go along with that, which you can find out what those are when you sign up. One perk that's not listed, though, is I will do contests occasionally. YouTube won't let you include those on your perks list, but I will do them anyway. So I'll do that occasionally.
Get that extra shot of college football knowledge.
There we go. There we go. But I appreciate everybody for hopping on here tonight on this kind of an impromptu last minute live stream here that I put together. So, Outlaw, thanks for coming on and joining me, man.
I appreciate you having me, brother.
Yeah, man. Have a good night.
All right, we'll check you later.